Hey, it's Mike McGuire. Welcome to a special bonus podcast, always free and always about pro wrestling. That is the Celebrate Wrestling podcast feed. And today, a guy who, if you were a WWE viewer back from as early as 2006, 2007, because he was getting some opportunities in dark matches and things like that, all the way up to 2010, where he really got his opportunity, debuting with NXT and what would eventually become the Nexus, then forming the Prime Time Players and having a run in WWE all the way up until about 2017. Darren Young, or better known today as Mr. No Days Off, Fred Rosser, and I had the chance to sit down. And Fred is one of those guys that I've been wanting to get back together with for a while. We first met in 2010, it turns out, and it was at an event after a SmackDown taping, and we'll tell you all about that in the interview. But even since leaving WWE, and he started this a bit while he was still there, Fred Rosser has been doing some pretty amazing things to spread positivity in the world of pro wrestling and outside of it as well. So we talk a bit about that. Nowadays, he's still working with New Japan Pro Wrestling after some tours on the indies. He did some work in the NWA as well, but he's been working with New Japan both as a wrestler on the roster and as one of their head coaches for the New Japan Strong Dojo in LA. I do want to apologize a little bit for the audio quality. We were recording this while the ring was being set up at Dungeon Wrestling in Calgary, so there was a lot of background noise. We managed to eliminate as much of that as we could digitally, but if it just sounds a little different than what you're normally used to on our feed, that's why. But the conversation is worth the listen. I hope you enjoy this chat with Mr. No Days Off, a.k.a. Darren Young, a.k.a. Fred Rosser.
Mr. No Days Off is in the house, and I say it all the time, whether it's in front of a couple hundred people or 20, 30, 40,000 people. This is still so much fun for me performing. I'm 23 years and counting in the game, and I'm inspiring the youth. You already said coaching with New Japan Academy in Los Angeles, and I'm very grateful to be here in Calgary.
So you've been through the area before, guys, just testing out the ring to make sure it works, but you've been obviously through Calgary, through Canada before. How often are you coming back these days?
My schedule is jam-packed, full-time coaching in LA, so I'm doing shows here and there, not as much as I used to when I was with WWE or even before WWE. So I'm 23 years in. I'm closer to the end of my career than I am the beginning. So I'm just enjoying life and just keeping it moving.
So I guess the better question to ask is how did we get you? Because that's just it, man. You're very busy. You're very busy. You've been doing some great things, and we've got you here booked tonight, obviously. Was this something you saw Dungeon Wrestling, like, I got to be here? Like, how did we get you?
Yeah, that's a great question. Dungeon Wrestling didn't reach out to me. I reached out to Dungeon Wrestling because, quite honestly, the best wrestling is right here in Calgary. So I needed to check off this bucket list of coming here and performing in this legendary pavilion.
This is a historic building. You get that vibe as soon as you walk in. Like it's the old vaulted auction seats. And I mean, I don't think they've changed anything but the paint in here maybe in the last 50 years. But when you walk into this and you know, of course, the legacy of Calgary wrestling, you know the names attached to Dungeon Wrestling here. I mean, that seems to me, if you're the one reaching out saying, I want to be a part of this, then this is something where you're appreciating the history of wrestling and what's brought it today. And obviously you're imparting that to your students as well.
Absolutely. Dynamite Kid, Owen Hart, Brian Pillman, Andre the Giant, they've all came through here. You know, a plethora of other legendary wrestlers have came through here. And I just want to be one of those guys to check it off the list for me, saying that I performed here, and I'm doing it tonight, baby.
Let's talk about you, the man, here for a second here, because like I said, we met years ago at an after party I kind of threw together with MVP, and it was after a WWE SmackDown taping in Edmonton. Crazy night, tons of fun, you know, and it was neat because getting the chance to see the guys. You were so young into your WWE tenure, pardon the pun there, but at the same time, I mean, I was telling you off mic that it was you, Otunga, Wade Barrett, guys like that. The Nexus were a thing. And a lot of y'all were showing up like almost in gimmick, like kind of staying stand-out. You were very friendly. You were very pleasant, very nice. But some of the guys, you know, Otunga especially, like he's wearing his armband in the bar and he's like just staying kind of standoffish to everybody. Like, what was the feeling like for you guys at that time, or for you particularly?
I mean, we had to follow the orders, you know, from Vince McMahon and the staff. When we formed the Nexus, we had to be very militant and not talk to fans or media. We had to have the armbands on our arms.
I mean, you were very unfriendly. You were very militant and didn't talk to me at all.
Yeah. We had to follow orders, and it's memories that I'll always remember and cherish. And we really, the summer of, when was it? It's been so long ago. Was it 20?
I think it was 09?
No, I think 2010 maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
It's all been a blur for me, but it was a summer that we wreaked havoc in WWE. Mm-hmm. It's memories I'll never forget. All the guys I still talk to, and really, I'm really the only active member out of the original Nexus that's still active. I know Heath Slater's still keeping it moving, but, you know, Mr. No Days Off, Fred Rosters is still at it.
All right, I want to ask you about a specific moment that just came up recently, and I was, you know, you get down one of these YouTube wormholes, and I don't know how often you've been asked about this before, but it was a weird moment in Canada, and it was in Montreal. And if you know where I'm going with this already, then feel free to jump in. But you were in a match, and it was you and Titus taking on Kane and Daniel Bryan. Oh. And that was at ringside when Jerry Lawler had his heart attack and passed out during the match. Did they give you guys any indicator what was going on while you were doing the match?
Well, at the time, I thought there was a fight in the crowd, you know? Right. So Kane also thought the same thing, that there was a fight in the crowd. We didn't actually know what was going on.
Right.
So the whole joke came about that, Jerry didn't like our match, so, like, it made him have a heart attack, you know? So, so rude, but...
But to be fair, if you're going to get out of watching a match, I mean, good on him for the sacrifice, I guess.
Yes, but it was complete chaos backstage. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Complete chaos, taking him to the hospital and all that stuff. But I'm glad he's doing okay now. But yeah, it was very scary moment for wrestling.
Some people listening to the show for the first time, because we're on this new station in British Columbia as well, they might hear us talking to you about New Japan Pro Wrestling. And when you say that you train people in Los Angeles, they might not be putting two and two together. So for the established wrestling fans that have been following the show, and you know, people like myself who know what's going on here, the Dojo in LA is a part of the New Japan Pro Wrestling training structure, but
exactly.
There's an American campus. And so how long have you been involved with training there?
Well, I've been with New Japan going on 6 years. Mm-hmm. I've been coaching 3 years, and it was through the vice president of AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, Rocky Romero, that appointed me head coach of New Japan Academy in Los Angeles. So, again, I've had my fun in the sun, 23 years and counting in the business. I want to be able to help inspire others. One of my mentors starting out was Dr. Tom Pritchard, and he helped train Kurt Angle. He helped train The Rock, you know. With my students, I always say I'm like the African-American Mr. Miyagi. Remember Mr. Miyagi?
Oh, yeah.
Karate Kid?
Wax on, wax off.
Exactly. So I'm very cerebral with my students. Wherever they're struggling with, I've been there, you know. Mm-hmm. I've been in their shoes. So I think the one thing I do differently as a coach is either before, after class, or at some point during my sessions, I always check in on their mental health, because this is a tough wrestling business, you know. It can really, you can be the most talented wrestler in the ring, but if you can't battle those thoughts in your head of you can't do it, you know, mm-hmm. you're not going to make it.
You told me a little bit about your time in between there, and I don't know how much you talk about it outside of this, so we can cut this part if you don't want to talk about it. But you were telling me that there was a time where maybe things were a little blurry for different reasons. And is that part of what you approach when you talk about these things with your students?
Exactly, because a lot of my memories in WWE, a lot of my time in WWE, I wasn't myself. I wasn't comfortable with myself. Mm-hmm. And that's because in 2013, I remember that date, August 2013, I came out openly as the first openly gay WWE superstar, but it had a galvanizing effect on the wrestling world, you know, a sudden change for the better, you know. for the longest, I would do wrestling interviews and try to deepen my voice and sound more masculine and tough. I don't have to do that anymore. I can just be myself. And I have a Block the Hate movement that is so near and dear to my heart. It's not just an LGBTQ movement. It's a movement for anyone that gets bullied in the silence, you know? So I do more than just wrestle. I'm trying to be a superhero for anyone that gets bullied in the silence. As a kid, I had a speech impediment. I was overweight, but I didn't let those disabilities hold me down. I still made it, and I became a WWE superstar.
Talking to Fred Roster, you might remember him as Darren Young in WWE, Mr. No Days Off. And again, I love primetime players. And I'm not just saying that to butter your bread. Some guys look at guys on the show and be like, oh, I love it. Dude, I was doing the millions of dollars all the time. It was such a fun thing to watch. But what I got to really appreciate was your time after WWE. And your former tag team partner, too. You guys have kind of gone different paths with it, but both of you had very positive messaging outside of your WWE careers. And how important is that to you to maintain that? When you talk about, you know, being the first openly gay WWE superstar, when you talk about trying to impart, you know, wisdom to avoid the traps out there to your students, how important is this to you? Like, was that a conscious decision you made after getting through some of the own troubles of your own life, or was it something that you always wanted to do since jump?
From the jump, you know, my mama didn't raise no fool, you know what I mean? She raised, I think she raised upstanding individual. Again, I struggled for a long time. So I struggled for 30 years. I'm 42. I struggled 30 years of my life not being myself. And I would hate to see anyone else go through that struggle. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, you know, but I am a friend. And I think the best thing I can do is just listen to students or anyone on my social media. I didn't think my story was a big deal until, of all people, the icon Cher had reached out to me. And because of her hearing my story when I came out in 2013, she said one of her friends who's a big wrestling fan came out to his family.
Wow.
So back then I realized my story was a big deal when Cher had reached out to me.
I don't want to live too much in the past because I think you're doing great things now. But I do got to jog back to that for a second, because there was what some people viewed as John Cena cutting down the Nexus roster. I looked at it as seeing the way that the guy operates now, maybe this was something that kind of helped you or did it. I don't want to put words in your mouth here. When the whole thing went down and he made the side comments about all you down the roster and everything, was that part of your motivation to come out, or was that kind of, did that go against what you were hoping to do?
No, I mean, I don't think so at all. It's just, Cena's had a legendary career, so I don't even look at, I don't really look into it like that, you know?
And I'm not trying to start, like, we don't do, like, I'm not looking for a link here. I'm not looking for clickbait, dude. I'm literally like, it just dawns on me that as we go back as fans and look back at things that we saw, you know, I always like to try and put myself in the mind of you and man, I can't imagine just the pressure of being a WWE star alone, let alone, you know what, I'm going to take a stand and I'm going to draw all this positive attention. But you got to make that one first step.
Exactly.
Right. And I guess what I'm trying to isolate, if you know if there is one or not, was there a tipping point?
Not from my experience.
No, okay.
And again, I can only speak from my experience. You know, I can't really speak for anyone else's experiences, but mine, I think, has been positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think so too, man. And like I said, I was really looking forward to meeting you here today, because I've been following the vibe you've been putting out for years, man. I love the positivity.
Yes.
We call our podcast network Celebrate Wrestling, because I believe that's what we got to do. We got to look at the good that's out there and guys like you that are doing great things. So, you know what, man, if people want to follow what you're doing, obviously social media is a great tool to do that, and we can do that. Your Insta handle one more time.
Real Fred Rosser, RealFredRosser.
And then when it comes to training in the New Japan Dojo, because we do have wrestlers and wrestling students that listen to the show that reach out once in a while as well, is it an application process? Do you got to get scouted? Are you sending tapes? Or are you one of those guys looking at the tapes? And if so, what do you recommend people try and do to get noticed?
Application process. And for me as a coach, I don't just prepare you for New Japan Pro Wrestling. I prepare you for AEW, WWE, CMLL, wherever you want to go. And back in my day, there was only one or two organizations. There's only really one, you know, but now there's a lot of organizations, a lot of opportunities, so no excuses. So with New Japan Academy in Los Angeles, we do 12-week programs, and you can go to NJPW Academy on Instagram, and yeah, it's an enrollment, and you have to be accepted. We have beginners and advanced, and I don't select any of the students. All I do is coach, but it's a very strict application process. So we don't just accept anyone. You know, it's New Japan Pro Wrestling for a reason. So
is there a common thread? And again, I'm trying to crack the code for any wrestlers out there. Is there a common thread you notice with any of your students that do get accepted?
We have something in common, you know.
Okay.
When I tried out for WWE, I paid $1,000 to try it with WWE.
Right.
These kids that spend their hard-earned money to pay to join New Japan Academy, that's something that we have in common. You spend your hard-earned money to follow a dream, you know. So I've been in their shoes. I know what it's like. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the work. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight. Our society today, kids want things quickly, you know.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification. So it takes time, you know. So I'm here to be very cerebral, like I said earlier, with the students, and try to slow down these kids because they're moving too fast.
You old timers don't get it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fred Rosser, man, thank you for taking the time to talk to us here at McGuire and Wrestling. Really appreciate it. I'm so glad to be able to see you again.
Yeah, anytime.
And have a conversation like this. And I'd love to follow up down the road here. We'll talk more about the dojo and just you in general. All right, my man?
Yeah, thanks for having me. I always say don't die with the story and you tell it, baby.